Hello, fuckos, and welcome to this, a very quick episode 69 giggity of the Chris Hunter Comedy Podcast with me, Chris Hunter. Hello, folks, how are you doing? Are you well? Have you had a nice couple of weeks? That's right, folks, it's been a couple of weeks this time instead of just the one because, as usual, something came up and I couldn't do the podcast last week because sometimes that just happens. But the good news is, what was preventing me from doing the podcast last week has now been resolved. All is better in the world and we can move on. So, I didn't go for a burger last week. Normally I start this podcast with saying what burger I had this week from Cafe at the End of the Universe and what dessert I had from Dark Side of the Spoon, because they are the best burger and dessert places in the world, and I don't care who you think you are, you're wrong. They are the best. So go there. We didn't go there last week, we weren't feeling too great, but all is better now. So go. What was I going to talk about after that? Oh yes, just before recording this, literally during the pre-podcast ablutions, the almighty Mr. Bill Burr tweeted out saying that his next comedy special is going to be out September 10th on Netflix called Paper Tiger. And I can't wait. I've been so excited for this because I think we went to see him live in Liverpool, and I think it's some of that material that he's going to be doing. But he filmed his new special in the Royal Albert Hall in London. Are you shitting me? No, I am not. That is really what happened. A comedian by the name of Bill Burr sold out Royal Albert Hall 2 nights in the trot, I think it was. It was so good. And he had Adam Hughes open for him as well. So that was nice. So, yes, folks. How have you all been? I am quite happy. I went to see my nan last week. It was her birthday. She was 94 years of age, and I love her to bits. As you guys know, I've spoken about her a whole heap ton, throughout the time here. It's awesome. I'm very happy about it. It was great to see her again, she's doing great. It's good news, everybody. Hang on a sec. I've just realised I said Adam Hughes opened for Bill Burr. He wishes. Adam Hughes is awesome, but it was Adam Rowe that opened. There's so many damn Adams in comedy that I get mixed up all the damn time as to which is which. But yeah, Adam Rowe. Bravo, sir. So I went to see my nan. She had a little, her talks about the family and stuff. Whenever we go around, she chats for ages about the family. And she said that I made her Sunday by appearing from the ether. She hadn't seen me with my shaved head yet, so that was interesting for her. But to be fair, she's practically blind these days, so the poor sod didn't really... She could see it, but she couldn't really tell that much. But that's okay, sometimes things come, things go. That's how life works. She's doing great. I'm really glad to see. She's 94, as I say. And yeah, it's nice. Her mum hung about till she was 99. I feel like my nan's going to be here till she's 104. Because she's that kind of lady. She's got the guts to stick it out. Because life's difficult, isn't it, folks? But my nan will see you through any issues you might have. One issue, though, she can't really help me with at the moment, as I still have a bad back. I've had a bad back for a couple of weeks now. To be fair, it is starting to get a little bit better, but it's weird. I had this issue. I can't remember if I told you guys about it. I hurt my back just by being old and moving on the couch, and there goes my back. That's what happened. But one of the issues I had is that it would cause like a muscle spasm, and that would go around like my ribs, to the front muscles, like where my abs should be, which if I had any. And it's really strange. So now that those muscles have been contracted so much, they now hurt. And it's like, dude, come on, give me a minute. But one thing I hope will help with the bad back is that I plan to get back to the gym soon. We were supposed to go back last week, but as usual, something always gets in the goddamn way. This time, it was traffic. There'd been an accident on the motorway the day we were planning to go, and the motorway diversion goes past ours, basically, so we couldn't get back to the gym to do it, which I know is a terrible excuse. We should have been since, but you know what? We're busy people. We're busy. We have busy lives. One thing I've been trying to plan, we're trying to sort out, I can't remember how much I've told you guys about wedding plans. We're planning to get married next year, I think. Next January, I'm guessing. But things happened. Discussions happened at certain places with certain family members, and it resulted in things going a little bit sideways. So rather than having a full ceremony like we were going to, we're now instead going to go to Disney World in Florida and combine the honeymoon and wedding possibly. We might be doing that, so we'd go to a Florida courthouse to get legally married and then go have our honeymoon. Or another option is we could possibly do that before we leave the country and have people there, but we've got to see if everyone can behave themselves first. So we'll find out closer to the time what's actually going to happen there. We haven't pitched that to anybody yet, but we'll wait and see how it goes, won't we? See what happens, see if they agree to it. You never know, they might even hear this. I highly doubt it. That's why I don't mind talking about it, but you never know, do you? If they hear it, it might be a good icebreaker. Like, hey, what did you say in your podcast? And I can say, hey, You listen to my podcast? You're not supposed to. That's not for people ears who I know, like as in family. It's for people who I don't know or who I know who aren't family. And don't mind me saying words like fook. But yeah, so we've been doing planning for Disney and all that kind of stuff, looking at wedding rings. I want to get a wedding ring that is made out of dinosaur and meteorite because screw you, that's what I want. And it's looking pretty damn good. We've found some really nice ones. I'm thinking of getting them soon. Actually, I was supposed to book them a few days ago and I completely forgot. But that's the plan anyway. That's the plan. So I'll keep you guys posted on what happens with that. Because it's going to be good. It's going to be a nice time. No matter what happens, we're going to have a great time. We've been looking at Florida to Disneyland and at the hotels and the parks that happens there. And I didn't know that place is so goddamn big. It's like some stupid like 43 square miles of just Disney property. It's like, how the fuck do you fill that much stuff with stuff? Sorry, that much space with stuff. Hiccups once again. Every damn podcast I get freaking hiccups. Maybe I should slow down a little bit. I've just come back from a film and I'm all sort of wired. I've got a cup of tea. I realise I've got like 4 minutes left to pretty much try and record this podcast, get it all uploaded and stuff, which isn't going to happen. So I'm going to do it as quick as I can whilst hopefully being some kind of some kind of legible to you folks who can understand what I'm saying. I may be waffling shite again this week, folks. I apologise. I was tempted to not do a podcast tonight because I knew it'd be rushed, and I'd rather not do one than do a rushed one. But at the same time, I thought, you know what, you didn't get one last week. It's not fair for me to leave you folks hanging 2 weeks in a row. It couldn't be avoided last time that happened, but the last time that happened, that was the first time that happened. So I'm going to try and keep it at the weekly. Even if it is a shorter episode, because you folks don't mind, do you? Excuse me. Those of you who actually listen to this podcast, I would appreciate a little bit of reach out if you don't mind. Hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you listen to this. Just a little comment of something you want me to talk about next week. Because I always just talk about what's happened through my week. And I feel like that might be a little bit self-involved. It's just me. It's the Chico show. But then again, this is my podcast, so this is kind of the point of it. So I would like some input from you folks anyway, so I can have a bit of a wider range of topics, you know what I mean? So listen out at the end. I'll give you all the social media stuff like I always do. But for now, just keep that little seed in your brain. Come up with an idea whilst I talk about some other stuff. And then at the end, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've got something to suggest to you. Anyway, back to the content, folks. So yes, because of the wedding and the holiday and all that stuff, costs are insane. Apparently, we've got a good deal for the Disney thing that we're doing, but it's still fucking ridiculous. But at the same time, it's still a little bit cheaper than the full original wedding idea was going to be. So in my head, I don't mind it so much because that money was already accounted for. It was already spent. You know what I mean? So it's not the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, I want to cry. So I'm going to have to sell a whole bunch of shit, which was the plan anyway for the move to Japan. But that means I'm going to have to start selling some shit sooner rather than later, I think. So I'm going to have a look around. I'm going to get some stuff on eBay, on Amazon, and maybe even do the occasional car booty, just to see what happens. See if we can get rid of some of this shite knocking about. Now, the good news is I look after my stuff. Charlie looks after her stuff. So everything we do have is in good nick. So I'm hoping we can get some decent money for the stuff that we have. But at the same time, we don't have that much. So let's see what happens, shall we? Let's bloody see what happens. I've been to the cinema a couple of times this past couple of weeks. Now, I used to go every single Monday to the cinema. But life gets in the way with me recently. I've been busy or I've been distracted doing other stuff. So I've not had a chance to go every single week. However, this past couple of weeks, I've managed to go. So I went to watch Annabelle Comes Home, which I think is what it's called. It's the new Annabelle film, from the Conjuring series. I went to watch that really freaking late on Sunday, I believe it was. I don't remember what day it was, but it was like a 10:30 showing at night. So we got home at like 1, I think, or 2. I can't remember. We got home really late at night in the morning. And you know what? It was actually a good film. It was, like normally when I'm watching a horror film, I'm sitting there and I'm expecting the jump scares and they don't get me because I expect it. It's pretty cheaply written normally. But this one, there was a few in there I just did not see coming. They caught me a little bit off guard. And I don't mind telling you, I jumped a little bit. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good film. Very well shot. Nice idea. It's like kind of like, I think people, maybe just Charlie, but I think people have been referring to it as like the Avengers of the Conjuring films. So a little bit of each from all the films all coming together. All these little ideas and stories mixing up into one gorgeous little smorgasbord of ghosts and ghouls. And it was great. I enjoyed it. I need to learn to say a phrase other than I really enjoyed it. But I did. I say it about a lot of things, but I enjoy a lot of things. I find that life is easier if you find the joy in the things that you're doing. So that's what I do. If I do something, I tend to either like it or dislike it. And if I dislike it, I'll try and have some kind of feedback in mind as to what could make it better. So there's always a positive spin on things, folks. Always remember that. Try and spin things to a nice way. Speaking of which, I've just now got back from the cinema after watching the Lion King remake. Now, I went in there with expectations on the floor because I literally hadn't heard a single good review about this film until today. I heard one good review. But I went in there and I've got to say I bloody enjoyed it. Yes, it was pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of Lion King, but guess what, folks? That's what was advertised. It was a remake, a CG remake of Lion King, and it was great. And my God, as somebody who does 3D art for a living, granted it's in the video game industry, not in the film industry, so they are different kettles of fish. But I was looking around through the film and oh my God, some of that stuff is just flawless. The only things, if I had to really, really nitpick some stuff, there was some like minor animation things. But man, it was so nice to see. Everything looked so real. Granted, some of it might have been real and mixed in, but I don't think much of it was. I haven't looked into it. I don't know. Don't assume that I do know. But I was watching it and people's main complaint seems to have been that the lines don't really emote much like the original cartoon ones do. And obviously they don't, because guess what, folks? The original one was a cartoon, a hand-drawn animated cartoon about cartoon lions. This new one is meant to be not a real world remake, like a live action remake, because I get it, you can't control lions like that, but the closest thing you're going to get to a live action remake with CG lions. But lions don't emote like that. Lions don't smile, so it's really hard to get that across. But I think they did a pretty good job. You could tell what the emotions were that the things were feeling and reacting to. So I think it worked a treat. And I enjoyed almost all the voice cast was exceptionally good. I've got to say, Timon and Pumbaa, hands down my favourite part of that film. They were fantastic. They've always been my favourite part of Lion King in general. But this new one, oh, what a team. And also, I won't spoil it for you folks, but you should definitely go watch it. But some of the very slight changes that they made in things that were said throughout the film were just great. They really, really helped spice things up just that little bit, to prove that it is actually different in some way. But it was great. There's a couple of fluffs here and there. Like I think Charlie pointed out that Can You Feel the Love Tonight was sung during daytime. So that's an interesting choice. I thought maybe that it was just a karaoke jingle that the cats had heard in the local bar and they were just singing it to each other, as walking down the road on the way to the next bar. I don't know. That might not have been the case. I'm pretty certain that wasn't the case. But what do I know? I am but a mere me sat at my PC looking at stuff. I have been playing a game recently. You guys know I've been doing the ArtStation Challenge thing for a while, and I'm done with that for a little bit just because I wanted to give myself a proper reset, a proper rest, so I can get back into it, guns blazing, because I kind of lost a bit of passion for it towards the end, and that's not healthy. So the best thing I've found in the past, the best thing to do is fully step away and then come back to it a week or two later. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've been playing No Man's Sky on the PlayStation because it had a massive update. It fixed a lot of things. It made it a lot more playable. And it's even got VR support now, which I've still not tried. But in playing the game again, I got super into it. Like I am balls deep in No Man's Sky right now. I'm proper into it. So I'm going to enjoy that while it lasts for the next week or so. Just to embrace the addiction, just get some actual gaming in before I hit everything hardcore in preparation for the move and the holiday and all this stuff. So I think I've earned that a little bit. Speaking of games, today Gamescom was on. Was it yesterday? I can't remember. Gamescom is the Games Expo in Germany. It's like the E3, but the other one. And they had like a live opening show for the first time. And it was okay. It was pretty dull, to be honest, except they had Hideo Kojima at the end, who's my idol, my absolute idol. He made Metal Gear Solid and he made Zone of Enders and he's now making Death Stranding. And they had some more Death Stranding footage. And fun fact, some of the footage that they showed Norman Reedus' character in Death Stranding just having a piss. That's it. He needs to empty his bladder. That's what you got to do. But if they kept showing the camera trying to see his penis, and he would just keep turning around. Apparently that happens in the game. The character will always try and face away, so you never see his penis. So sorry, Norman Reedus fans, that ain't for you. But the funny thing is, as soon as he started pissing, the crowd gave a massive applause. They gave They gave it a bigger cheer than they did during any of the footage that they showed beforehand, including the painful FIFA 20 footage, which, to be fair, looked like a kind of a cool concept, but in the game that they were showing, they had this scene where they had like a Japanese footballer showing off his skills in front of a crowd, which was really cool. He was doing a good job. But the crowd itself in the game sounded bored. And it's like, how are you supposed to get excited about something you've programmed in a bored way? You know, it doesn't make sense to me. But what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, like I said, it's going to be a quick one this week, folks. I've got a cup of tea to down before I go to bed in 20 minutes. So that's all for me this week. If you folks have anything you want to say to me, you want to hurl abuse at me, you want to give me some sort of suggestions or feedback or critiques, any of that good stuff, you can find me on social media. I'm Chris Hunter Comedy on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Chris Hunter Comedy Podcast, or on Twitter I'm at Chris Hunter Com, which is short for comedy. And that is it for me, folks. If you like what you've heard, please do me a favour. If you listen to it on YouTube, subscribe for me. If you listen to it on iTunes or Spotify or any of that stuff, drop me a favourite or a subscribe or a like, whatever it is you can do there. And a rating and a review would always be super, super appreciated. We're still on 9 reviews, folks. If you could make it number 10, it would just mean the world to me. So thanks a lot for listening, folks. And I'll see all you beautiful barstools next week. Bye-bye now.